Greetings, everyone. This is Ayman Tarabishi from the International Council for Small Business. I'm the ICSB Executive Director. I am also the Deputy Chair of the Department of Management at the George Washington University. I am delighted to have you all here for another ICSB Exchange webinar. For today's webinar, my colleague and the incoming president of ICSB will be moderating this session, Dr. Winslow Sargent. Dr. Winslow, greetings, and thank you for moderating this session, and the floor is yours.
Well, greetings, Dr. Tarabishi, and thank you. It's a pleasure to be here, and especially we have a special guest. But before I get to that, I just want to thank you for, I want to thank you, Dr. Tarabishi, for arranging these ICSB webinars during the time that we're practicing social distancing or physical distancing. We're still socially connected. And so the International Council for Small Business, our focus is to maintain that connection, but also during this time, we want to educate those and bring thought leaders to share with our members and our supporters. I would like to thank President Ahmed Osman for his leadership and for his guidance in terms of what we should be doing as ICSB. I want to thank Sky Blanks for arranging this webinar and to making sure that we're all connected. But before I introduce our guest, I want to, and before you hear him speak, I want to read his bio. It is a pleasure for me, and I hope that you can sense my excitement. Yes, I am the president-elect of ICSB, and yes, I've been a presidential appointee in the Obama administration, and I come from technology. But what I really enjoy is being around thought leaders and those who are seeing beyond where things should go. And today and tonight, wherever you are, I'm pleased to have you hear a conversation between myself and His Excellency Hussain Mohammed Al Mahmoudi. His Excellency Hussain serves a dual role as the Chief Executive Officer of the American University of Sharjah Enterprises and as the CEO of the Sharjah Research, Technology, and Innovation Park. Both these entities were established through the royal decree by the ruler of Sharjah, who also directly appointed His Excellency Hussain to these responsibilities in order to create collaborative long-term relationships between industry, academia, and the public sector, fostering an ecosystem of enterprise and innovation. Previously, His Excellency Hussain served as the Director General of the Sharjah Chamber of Commerce and Industry, a member of the UAE Chamber Federation and the GCC Chamber for 8 years. He was responsible for the overall management and operations of the Chamber, including the provision of services to its members. In this role, he launched several strategic economic initiatives for Sharjah, such as the SME Pact, Sharjah Export Center, Sharjah Commercial Arbitration Center, and the Sharjah Business Forum. His Excellency Hussain has held leadership roles at leading regional and international companies such as the Royal Dutch Shell Group, the Emirates National Oil Company, and several Dubai holding entities. He currently serves as the honorary board member of both the Tattooer Forum and the Maastricht University in the Netherlands, and as chairman of the Emirates Business Council for Sustainable Development. He also serves as a board member of the Sharjah Entrepreneurship Center. His Excellency Hussain possesses an MBA from the American University of Sharjah and a BA in Economics and Communication from Seattle Pacific University in the US. I hope that you are in the audience will give a big round of applause for His Excellency Hussain Mohammed Al Mahmoudi. Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Mr. Wilson, it's a pleasure to be with you in this session. I would like to first thank Dr. Ayman Al-Tarabishi for allowing me to be part of this platform with you and share with you the stories that we have here in the United Arab Emirates, and also learn from you today about your experience and the audience as well. I think it's a blessing to be able to be part of this session and using technology to cut across boundaries and touch base with everyone around the world. I'd like to thank your audience for being with us today here, and I appreciate their time, valuable time. I'm really thrilled to be with you today here, and thank you for the kind introduction.
Great. Well, we have a lot to talk about, and I'm so excited. And for those who have some questions, please use the chat feature, and I hope that we can get to that part. But there are a lot of things to discuss. There's so much going on, and that's why this topic, especially this topic, is so important, because the topic of this conversation is a triple helix focus on building, on innovation and the ecosystem in UAE, especially in the science, research, technology, and innovation part. And the triple helix focus is very, very important, because when we think of the helix, we think of the triple helix, we think of academia, we think of government, and we think of industry. These three things must come together to work well. And so, and because you have, because your leadership in all three is so important in this day and age, how do we bring these three together? So my first question as the CEO of the American University of Sharjah Enterprises and the CEO of Sharjah Research, Technology, and Innovation Park, tell me about your duties and your responsibilities.
Thank you again. If you don't mind, I would like to go one step back and maybe put things in perspective for those who are not familiar with the United Arab Emirates and haven't heard about Sharjah before.
Yes, okay.
I always like to say the few things. First of all, United Arab Emirates is a country part of the GCC. It established itself in the past 45 years as a regional business hub and as a regional logistics hub and a regional touristic hub. So today, UAE is the second largest Arab economy after Saudi Arabia. It is almost the fourth largest Islamic economy. So it's a young country. It's a population of 9 million people, with only 15% of this being local, and the rest are from all over the world. So it's a very diverse country. We grew up together in this melting pot, similar to what you have in the US. If we come back to the United Arab Emirates as a country, we're a federation of 7 cities. And the biggest 3 cities are Abu Dhabi, which is our capital city. Then you have Dubai, which is the commercial center. And then you have Sharjah. I make a lot of similarities with the US. So when I compare UAE to the US, I always say to people, when you think of Abu Dhabi, think about Washington, DC. This is where the government sits. This is where the political power, where the upstream defense sits. But Abu Dhabi is a bit more richer than DC. But go one level down, you think about New York, tourism, finance, think about Dubai. And you go one level down, you think about Boston, MIT, Harvard, think about Sharjah. Sharjah has the same orientation. It is the city that is known across the Arab world, even globally, for its orientation and focus on education. We pride ourselves to have probably the biggest education city in the whole region, with a university city which has 22 universities in one place, more than 47,000 students, 2,000 PhDs from 100 nationalities. So Sharjah has that profile that it built over the past 35 years. We pride ourselves to be the first capital of book for the whole world. So that's the background of Sharjah. I move from there to my role at the moment. The UAE has established, as I said, itself for the past 45 years using the hydrocarbon, the oil money to build the country and establish itself and build the country from infrastructure point of view, both soft infrastructure and hard infrastructure, and building its brands as a regional and international haven for business and for tourism and for many other things. So we did very well in the past 45 years. A couple of years ago, the government decided that, okay, oil will not stay here forever. We need to evolve and develop our plans for the next 50 years. And the next 50 years plan was all around innovation, around fostering knowledge economy, and around research and education. So the government sparked or launched different initiatives in each cities. And my city, Sharjah, we launched a couple of initiatives. So the first initiative was the American University of Sharjah, where the government and the ruler, who is an 80 years old man with 2 PhDs, known for his love for education, very intellectual man, he decided to transform our universities from teaching only to research and development based universities. So he allocated a lot of money for the university and resources to do that development. The second thing he created an enterprise, which is the American University of Sharjah. I'm talking now about the American University of Sharjah, which is one of the 3 top American universities in the whole of the Middle East. So in the Middle East, we have 3 main American universities. The first one is the American University of Beirut. The second one is American University of Cairo. And the third one is American University of Sharjah, which is the youngest. So he created a company for this university to help spark innovation and support the agenda of innovation. The third thing he did is he created Sharjah Research and Technology Park. And the objectives of this park is to act as a platform to enforce triple helix, where we bring private sector, government sector, and academia to interact and create innovation in an open innovation approach. My role is to develop this whole innovation ecosystem and start this. And I must say, when His Highness asked me to move from the chamber, and he said, I need your help with something, and he told me I want to do this research park, God, research, it does not exist in our dictionary or private sector dictionary. But after really 3 years, now I'm really blessed because really the opportunities is amazing, because in the Middle East, except for Israel, I think the agenda of research and applied science and education is not there. And this is a big, big opportunity, I think, for businesses. So what I'm trying to do now is to develop legislation, develop the whole ecosystem, infrastructure, develop funding mechanism, develop entrepreneurship ecosystem, develop the interaction between the private sector and government sector and academia to be able to fulfill our objective. It is a long-term objective, but we have plans with also implementing short-term goals as well. Sorry for I took a long term too, but I wanted to put things in perspective.
Well, no, that's great. I mean, this is excellent. I mean, just, it's excellent in terms of how you laid out that it does take leadership. It does take vision. And the leader of UAE, he understood where things needed to go. He didn't look at just the hydrocarbons, that was a platform, but the future, especially when we look at things like the 4th Industrial Revolution, a whole bunch of things like that, that we needed to go we needed to move to where things were going. And you've been tapped with a tremendous amount of responsibility to lead this effort. And that's why I think that it's important for our audience to know of all the great things that are taking place. That's yes, there's Abu Dhabi, yes, there's Dubai, but in Sharjah, that's where the innovation, that's where the entrepreneurship, that's where the building block that's taking place. And that leads me to, there was a TED Talk that you gave last year. and in this TED Talk, you mentioned that a need for exponential thinking. And I found that very interesting because I, as someone who's trained as an engineer, when we think about products, we always talk about that the product that when you bring a new product to the marketplace, it should be an order of magnitude better than what's there right now. But in your talk, you talked about an exponential, which is, you got an order of magnitude, but an exponential is way out there. I mean, please explain what you mean by a need for exponential thinking as it relates to Sharjah and your duties.
When we started this process, we've tried to identify areas where we believe we have an opportunity to grow and where the whole world is going. So we looked at global trends, regional trends, and local trends in terms of opportunities. So we identify 6 areas that we believe things are changing. For example, transport and logistics, production design and architecture, digitization, water technology, environmental technologies. So we have started from where other ended, but also we wanted to push the limit into the future. So this is what we mean by exponential, is really to make these jumps into the future and think big, and think on scale. So we have identified different projects. Probably you would mention some of them. We've started to develop a new type of agriculture technology using hydroponics and aquaponics and vertical farming. In transport and logistics, we have a cutting edge. Probably we have the biggest maybe transport and logistics innovation center at the moment in the park with a company called Skyway. We are developing next generation transport technologies for both passenger and cargo. We have things on additive manufacturing. We are probably among the few cities in the Middle East that today print metal. And we are also doing things like using 3D construction to print houses.
Wow.
So we are doing different activities that has those exponential growth and aim.
Wow, you're doing a lot, and you know, and the thing about the triple helix with academia, with government, with industry, you mentioned more than 2,000 students with PhDs. How do they interact with Sharjah, with the research park? Is it an internship? Maybe you can explain.
So the 2,000 are actually including the faculties and students. And the interaction, of course, works in different ways. You know, these are full-fledged faculty that they have also some time that they allocate for research activities and for internship and for working on the projects. We are trying to develop our model to be able, frankly, to leverage whatever we built over the past 30, 35 years. It's not, as you know, and I think I always give, you know, people talk about Silicon Valley or US, you know, US is much more developed system. The institutions in US they have better synergy. That's why the innovation is bigger in US. We're trying to follow the same things by developing a culture and a mindset of people that can really give us the result we want. Because at the moment, you know, the mindset of these faculties are we are only faculties and teachers, not innovators, not faculty that can go into commercialization. So we work in different programs. We have forums that we are all engaged into, and we have also projects that we try to develop and commercialize, and we engage them. For example, we have a few projects, but I will quote a couple of projects which I think is very interesting. At the moment, for example, we are working with the American University of Sharjah Engineering School and Nokia and our telecommunication company to develop 5G technologies. And this is, I think, something that the whole globe is talking about at the moment. We also work with the American University of Sharjah to develop the 3D concrete house printing along with a company from the Netherlands. So we try to engage and enforce this triple helix approach, again, bringing the academia and private sector and government to create something.
That's very, very impressive. I mean, you're so far ahead. I mean, in terms of some of the work that you're doing, especially you mentioned the Skyway project in terms of logistics. Once again, you're bringing together what I hear you're saying is that there's no one who does it alone in terms of as part of the triple helix, that you need each part to play their role, whether it's government, whether it's academia, whether it's industry. They each play an important role, but also you're reaching out to bring the best and the brightest thoughts and minds to Sharjah and to build it there. And so that's the fascinating part. I also found it interesting too, is that even with the focus on 5G and 3D, and you're doing so amazing work, you also focus on hydroponic in terms of water, because as you know, water is a precious resource, and so goes water, so goes life. And so what work have you been doing, and how have that been going at Sharjah?
It's actually very timely, frankly. I mean, the project that we worked on 2 years ago, it's actually in the highlight. If you go and do a little bit Google in the Middle East, we're actually getting a lot of notice because we launched this R&D center around agriculture technologies. Mm-hmm. As you one challenge or an outcome of COVID-19 is food security. We live in deserts. We don't have water. The climate is very hot. So we started promoting new technologies to develop, our farms, which are really desert. When I tell a farm, they think that is green. It's actually all sand. Now we are using technology to develop this. And what the government is doing now, they actually created a whole mandate around, this is the federal government, around a new technology for agriculture. And Abu Dhabi government allocated $100 million only 2 weeks ago to support 4 companies into this domain. So about this, today, our region in the Gulf, we import almost 90% of our vegetables and fruits from outside. With COVID-19, there were a lot of challenges of importing these food again into our region. So the answer is to use technology to grow your own food. Imagine, from being an importer of 90%, now you can produce fruit. What you are doing is basically you are creating new opportunities, new industries, new jobs and employments, and everybody's winning at the end of the day. So this is just one example with what's happening with food. It's a very hot topic now in the Gulf, agriculture technology, because people want to ensure that they have food security, and the new norms after COVID-19, I think is different. So,
this is a very timely topic, because with COVID-19, it has changed so much. It has disrupted almost everything in every sector that we thought was normal. In particular, with the closing of borders, and with the lack of travel, it has disrupted the supply chain. I gave a talk a week or so ago about the impact of supply chain because of COVID-19, and as you outlined, in light of if you're importing 90% of your agriculture, then, and with closed borders, that really can cause a disruption in light of COVID-19. Now, you also, and I heard your talk, and I went back and I did some research. You used the term, the rescaling of organizations and people. How, with COVID-19, how do you think that will take place? Because, everything is so disrupted. There is a need for, things that we thought that were normal. Now they're not normal anymore. And this is going to cause a huge disruption. How will the rescaling of organizations and people take place as you see it?
I mean, first of all, I wanted to highlight a note. I mean, since this is, I know you are a global organization for small and medium enterprises.
Yes.
I encourage everyone to take advantage of these new technologies, and these are the type of businesses today will thrive in our part of the world, and I think everywhere also. Yes. That's your audience, I think, to make a note of. Yes. Most companies we work with are small and medium enterprises. That's number one. On the questions of rescaling, we knew ahead that things are going to change in the future. The type of skills we have today we need to develop and improve our skills and change some of our skills. So people today talk about, people with skills related to robotics, people with skills related to artificial intelligence, people with skills related to digitization and coding, people with skills related to space, to renewable energy. So this is something that we also now in the process actually to launch an academy that will start providing activities for reskilling. Now, the technology park has something very interesting. We are also, we host, and actually it's our project, host the Sharjah Open Innovation Lab, which is basically a regional size Fab lab. So this lab will be equipped with all kinds of machinery, from electronics to rapid prototyping to 3D printing and others, with an aim to, again, reskill the workforce to be able to cater for the new demand and the new market demand and new requirement of industries. So when I talk about reskilling, this is something very important to be able to equip our people and our labor with future skills that the workforce will require.
And that's really a topic that's important to ICSB, because when we at ICSB, we're about helping small business owners and entrepreneurs access to entrepreneurship, but to grow and to scale, not just to start, not just to stay small, but to really grow their business, because we understand that the majority of businesses in most countries are MSMEs. And it's good to talk about technology, but it's also good to make sure that we're touching the common man, the common woman, the youth, to make sure that they're partaking in some of these growth opportunities. And so with Sharjah, I like the fact that you're bringing experts and you're tapping in with knowledge around the globe. But please share with us what you're doing, especially in light of youth and women, and how do they access some of these opportunities? Because it's very exciting, the work that you're doing at Sharjah, knowing that you're not only going to impact the region, but you're going to impact the globe. And it's good to see the person in UAE make use of some of those opportunities.
We've launched few initiatives over the past, I would say, 24 months. One of the things that we are very proud of is we are trying to promote a regional women in technology initiative. So we have partnership with Women in Technology Movement out of Paris. It's a global movement. So for those who are interested, there is an event happening on the 24th of May. I invite everyone to be part of it. It's a 24 hours event from all over the world. So I'll be happy to share, but this is a Women in Technology, and you can Google them. So we have launched different programs. One of them also Women in Coding that we've been working on at the moment, again, to reskill and develop skills and capabilities. So that's number one. We also have an active entrepreneurship programs through Sharjah Research, through Sharjah Entrepreneurship Center, that we try to develop entrepreneurs and support them with all kind of support they require. And last but not least, as I said, we have the Sharjah Open Innovation Lab, which is really trying to help entrepreneurs to shift from only app-related business to smart manufacturing. So we would like to use technology to be able to develop smart manufacturing and help entrepreneurs, move a little bit from service-oriented business to actual manufacturing, because that also ensures our sustainability of supply chains and others, using, of course, cutting-edge technologies like additive manufacturing, for example.
That's so great. As I was doing my research, I saw an interview you gave about 9 years ago in 2011, when you were the Director General of Sharjah Chamber of Commerce and Industry. Back then, you shared the vision of tomorrow, of innovation and entrepreneurship. And so, as you clearly have said, that this takes a while, but I want you to look back to see, just share with us what are some of the barriers? What are some of the best practices? What are some of the big ideas you've seen since you gave that talk more than 9 years ago? And what can the rest of the world learn from what you're doing at Sharjah?
I think, you know, Sharjah is a city like any other cities around the world. You know, we all have our own barriers and our own challenges and opportunities. I think, frankly, the biggest challenge, I would say, is the mindset of people. It's the, I would say, the cultural barrier that people, you know, are reluctant to think big. And in the Middle East, we have this a lot. You know, we think that we are limited and we can't do big things or think big. And I think this is a cultural barrier that I think we're trying to overcome it by doing what we are doing. A second, I think we like any other place, again, we live in a very challenging geopolitically region, and we always have to navigate around these activities. So these are some of the barriers. Of course, there are different legislation barriers and actual, you know, things that has to do maybe with the infrastructure. But we are in the UAE. Frankly, we are lucky because we have a modern country, you know, which has resources that can deploy to make things move. Best practice, of course, when we launched this, we launched a program or a project last year with the UK Catapult organization. This organization is actually the innovation arm of the UK government. And what we did is we benchmarked Sharjah against 9 cities around the world. So cities like Boston, Philadelphia, Shenzhen in China, Marseille in France, Cambridge in UK, Bangalore in India, and we looked at different criteria for innovation. So innovation enablers, from legislation to infrastructure to availability of talents. So we benchmark and we look at the best practices. And we see where Sharjah fits, which cities we can work with, which cities we can learn from, and which city we can invest with. So these are part of the best practices that we deploy and will be more than happy to share with whoever. We actually produce a very nice report that we are at the moment updating for 2020 on this exercise, which took us a full year to do. But we thought that's important to capture these practices and use them as a best practice. You talked about, I think the last point was about the big idea.
Yes.
And my big idea is to spin off a couple of companies in the next year, you know, next I would say 3 to 5 years that are $1 billion worth. That's my big idea.
Yeah. Well, you and I spoke earlier, and you shared with me that you went to school in Seattle, Washington, and so you know that's where, you know, the headquarters of Microsoft, of Amazon, of other larger companies, and you want to, and because you see what has happened there, you see that Sharjah should be able to spin off the equivalent of a Google, the equivalent of an Alibaba, and that's very, very important to know where you want to go, because as you sell the vision, as you share your vision, it's important to know where the target is. And so that's why, you know, just in my research and just by seeing what has taken place, it's so encouraging. With regard to the research park and with Expo, well, I know that there was an Expo in 2020, but since COVID-19 has disrupted so many different things, how do you pivot? How do you pivot? There's this whole concept in startups that there's always a need to pivot at some point, that the best plans that you've laid go awry. There's a term, a boxing term by a famous boxer named Mike Tyson once said that every boxer has a plan until they get punched in the face. No one had planned to get punched in the face, but that happens with the interruptions, with these things that are taking place. How do you adjust to, you know, with Expo may not happening in and postponement. How do you adjust to these things?
Well, you know, the UAE, we are blessed. I'm not bragging about that, but we are blessed with wise and visionary leadership who is very aspirational. When Dubai and Sheikh Mohammed, the ruler of Dubai, was asked, what will happen if you don't win Expo? He said, I will create my own Expo. So in the UAE, we don't get distracted, but with circumstances. We create our own destiny and our own path, and we navigate through these challenges. So there are, of course, at the moment, the government, I think this is a global challenge. The government is looking at actually, there's a 3 days meeting now happening to look at how we're gonna go, you know, and deal with everything that's happening. But I think my answer is that we have always scenarios for these things, and we have option 1, option 2, and option 3 always. This is how we approach these things. Now, Expo has been postponed for 2021. I think the country is trying to develop different opportunities to make up for Expo. And I think one of the opportunities is what we are trying to do. You know, being able to really now start focusing on new industries, focusing on healthcare, which we never really did anything before, and agriculture. I think these are all good outcome that will come from this challenge, that we can hopefully, when Expo comes, we will have our own industries to showcase, not others only.
Okay. Well, and that's important that we, you know, that be able to pivot and to adjust. One of the things at ICSB, we are really looking forward to working with you. And I'm pleased that we have actually the president of ICSB, Engineer Ahmed Osman, and I'm going to embarrass him a little bit and have him take his to put on his microphone, because I would like for him to come and share his thoughts on how ICSB he thinks can work with Sharjah and why his vision of working together is so in sync with what you're doing at Sharjah. Engineer Osman.
Thank you, Dr. Sargent. Good evening, Mr. Hussain, and good evening, everyone. I'm very pleased to be, to put me on the spot to be with you just now. I've listened in since the start of this very interesting webinar, and I'm very, very interested in what the Sharjah Research, Technology and Innovation Park are doing. You know, the topics, Hussain, you are mentioning, whether water technology, renewable energy, industrial and manufacturing technology, and also things to do with sustainable development and construction. I think they're really important topics for the whole region. And I agree with you totally that we should shift our focus post-COVID from the tech, web-enabled everything, to more hands-on and more, let's say, research and the technology and innovation that impacts daily lives. I see a lot of opportunities coming up in, obviously, healthcare, as we're seeing now. And also, I think sustainable development and construction and real estate and industry are main pillars of strategically changing the region to become not only consumers of technology, but producers and enablers of technology. So I really highly commend what you're doing in Sharjah. And I think there are lots of synergies between what we're doing at ICSB and trying to change the way we deliver knowledge to the globe through our knowledge hubs and through a number of programs. And hopefully we'll see lots to be done between both organizations in the future. And I thank you both very, very much for this very, very interesting webinar. Thank you, Winslow. Thank you for saying once again.
Okay. Thank you, President Osman. Do you want to reply?
Ahmed. Again, I know I just wanted to thank Mr. Ahmed for giving me this opportunity to be part of this webinar and to also talk to your members and your colleagues as well. We are very much interested to work with a global organization like ICSB. I think there is a lot of learning that we can learn. We are a startup organization. Despite the various things we are doing, we are still babies, and we need to grow and learn from everyone. It's a long-term project. It's a very difficult project, I must say. And we really, look for good partners, long-term partners, genuine partners that we can work with and grow up with together.
Great, great. Well, I want to leave some time for some of those in the audience to pose some questions, and so those who can please use the Q&A button to ask your questions. But in the meantime, I have the benefit to continue to ask some more questions. With Sharjah, I'm very impressed with especially with the Skyway project. I've seen a lot of discussions about Skyway, and then maybe you can give us an update in terms of how Skyway is going, and what are some of the milestones you think that will be achieved in the coming time frame.
Skyway is a very interesting project, and it has a different, an interesting background. The company is developing, as I said, next generation train, and they chose Sharjah to be a place where they want to set up their global innovation center. And they had different phases. The first phase was developing a pod for passenger, which is 400 meters long testing line, which they finished 3-4 months ago. At the moment, they are working on 3 kilometers cargo testing train, which Sharjah government is interested actually in working with them on almost 100 kilometers. So if this testing works, they will get a project within the Sharjah government for almost 100 kilometers for cargo train. Because Sharjah is a very interesting city. It's the only city in the Gulf that has 2 ports on different sea. So we have a port on the Arabian Gulf, and we have port on the Gulf of Oman. So it's a very strategic, and the government wants to see how they can link those 2 ports together using new generation technology. Now, the beauty of this project, of course, if they set up their projects and successful, the whole manufacturing will happen in Sharjah. So this is really transform the whole landscape of the country, actually the region. Imagine Sharjah being a place where you transform, where you manufacture trains. So you can imagine how many jobs it will create, what it will do to the GDP, to the knowledge, to R&D and everything. It's really very exciting projects. And hopefully when you visit, you will see it. So we are very excited about it, and we're trying to really go out of the way to make it happen. It's also a challenging project as well, but like everything is challenging.
Well, I'm really excited, and I am looking forward to my visit to Sharjah. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Yeah, I said I'm really excited, and I am looking forward to my visit to Sharjah. And the thing that really, you touched on a number of points, but the fact that one of the things that I've always made a point of is that it's the importance of manufacturing. That manufacturing, we sometimes think that manufacturing is low level. It's not really that sexy, as one could say. But with manufacturing, there's a whole knowledge base that comes with manufacturing. It's a whole supply chain that comes with manufacturing. It creates jobs, and it makes you a producer to the rest of the world. The challenge of many countries is that they become consumers. They buy things from the outside, and their services and their users, they are consumers and not producers. What you're saying is that you want to flip that model, where that you want to produce for the rest of the world. And so that's why I think that Sharjah is such an innovative concept, and that you're bringing the best and the brightest together. But also you recognize that it's a marathon, not a sprint, and that you're putting all the things in place to make it successful. And so I must applaud you for that effort.
Thank you very much. So Sharjah actually historically used to host 40% of the manufacturing in the UAE, all in Sharjah. So Sharjah is also known to be the industrial capital of the UAE. We have around one industrial area, more than 1,300 manufacturing company. So what we are trying to do is trying to bring technology to modernize those companies as well. We have an example today, for example, we are using again 3D metal printing to produce components for oil and gas and for automotive. All what you need really is a machine, and it does everything for you to, of course, produce specific component. But also we're trying to promote Internet of Things for these factories and digitization to be able to, again, take them to the next level and be able to produce something.
Yeah, this is great. Now, you mentioned healthcare, and now, of course, under COVID-19, we see the importance of this industry. In my talk a few weeks ago, I mentioned that for the African continent, for example, that 85% of goggles are imported. I mean, you have a vast continent with more than 50 countries, and yet 80% of the goggles are imported. Masks, 95% of the masks, some of the reagents for testing. I mean, so, but yet the skill set, is more than available in many countries. And so I think the takeaway was that because of COVID-19, more of the supply chains, more of the manufacturing will be done within the borders or within a region. In terms of healthcare within the GCC, I can, based upon what you're saying, is that you are also seeing the same thing, that the GCC, that the Gulf region will be a producer, will be a manufacturer, will be a supplier of these things, not just in technology, but in healthcare as well.
I agree. I think again, I mean, for sustainability, for economic security, for national security, I think more and more regional government, I think even global government, will start paying attention to this. I like Governor Qasimi of New York. I watch him every day, at least, until my son screwed my CNN and my TV. But we're talking about importing everything from outside, and I think for us it's the same. We need some of these strategic industries need to be developed. At least some of it. It doesn't have to be everything. And today technology allow you to this. I mean, you talked about the reagent. I mean, with these testing, these are you can manufacture these things and you can run them yourself. What we did a small exercise, which was really very elementary exercise. We produced face shield and mask, face shield out of 3D. And we actually gave the police, we gave the healthcare professionals, we gave factories. So we produced it with using 3D printers.
Yeah.
So we actually did 2,000 of them. The company, which is one of our companies, Amensa, did 450,000 face shield. And they actually sent them all over the world, including US, by the way.
Wow. Well, you see, and that's the exciting part. We like to say at ICSB that knowledge is not localized to any one region of the world or any gender or any culture or race. Knowledge is distributed, but it takes a visionary. And so how are you able to pass on your vision? Or I know the ruler of UAE has set forth a vision, and it's a great vision. How are you able to share, especially with the youth, because it's a young population, it's a growing population, they need to be able to be, to also take the baton, as it were, and run as fast. And what are you doing to share your vision so that others can see where you want to go?
There are some questions, first of all, process check. You are taking the questions, right? From the audience?
Yes, he is, and I've been taking some notes here. So
Okay.
there's a question that's coming
So-
here, which I'd like to
Okay.
ask you.
Yes.
Is looking at expanding the triple helix to being maybe more than just 3, maybe more, including, international organizations, public universities, as you both mentioned so eloquently here, that it has to be multi-stakeholder here. Now, as you can see in the location here, what is your proposition? And I was very delighted when you mentioned your collaboration with Paris and the women's group here. But is some sort of strategy looking at all these stakeholders coming together for different tasks than just merely a collaboration, but co-creating? Maybe something that you can join in on?
Absolutely. So I will start with one slow question. How do we ensure that we pass on the information? As I said, we're trying to manage and document whatever we do. This, for example, the work we did with the UK Catapult is a documented thing that we try to also spread to our stakeholders. So we send these things to government entities, to private sector, so remember I told you the biggest challenge is the mindset of people, because if you say innovation, everyone have their own definition of what is innovation and knowledge economy and means. So we try to all speak the same language. And that's what part of the exercise when we say developing the mindset. In terms of partnership, yes, we have different type of partnership. We have themes that we believe that we need to embed as part of our creed or identity. Things like promoting diversity is important to us. Promoting social impact and sustainability is important to us. But then in terms of actual projects, we have projects that we believe has an opportunity to work. For example, we are working at the moment on developing an R&D or applied science around exoskeleton, because we believe the Middle East, both industry-wise and also for humanitarian reason, require these type of technologies. So when we do these projects, we, for example, bring research institution, we bring private sector, we come in and we bring private, fund as well into it. So there are different activities we do, engaging different stakeholders. I don't know if Dr. Ayman, I answered your question.
Yes, you did. And this is what's critical here is you're basically talking to colleagues that are absolutely in agreement with you here, that you have to bring all these together here. But maybe one question to follow up here, who takes the lead in this, right? Who will take the lead? Now you play multiple hats, which gives you the opportunity to be in meetings where you can discuss it in different angles here, but not everybody is privileged to play multiple hats here. Who would you say can take the charge and do this? Is it government? Is it university? Is it local? Is it the private sector? Who might that be?
The good news, frankly, is I have all these hats in my head. So I can play government when I want. I can play private sector when I want. I can play university when I want. It depends on the projects. If it's, again, coming from the university lead, and we all support. If it's coming from the private sector company leads, and we mobilize faculties and university, and we mobilize our resources to support. If we are taking the leads, the same thing happens. So we try to develop collaborative approach to these projects. Of course, we are human. It's not always easy to win everyone, but this is how we approach it. We take, there is no one size fits all. We do it project by projects. And I think that's one reason why so far, I think we've been successful with what we've been doing, I think. Because there's no one size fits all. Each project, each company, each entity has their own requirements, has their own wants and desire, and we try to cater for them. The other thing is we are also don't want to work with so many people. We believe having 50, 100 solid partners is enough for us to grow. And that's a different mentality, I think.
Great. Well, there's another question that how does Africa feature in your plans with its with its youthful population and growing middle class?
I think Africa is booming when it comes to entrepreneurship. We are trying to explore things with Africa. I have some friends in different places. Unfortunately, COVID-19 slowed down this, but it is high on our radar. And this is for many reasons. One, of course, if you want to scale companies, you cannot say and stay only in GCC. GCC is small, but when you combine Middle East with Africa, then you have a sizable geography that you can grow with. We have a very interesting project that been launched out of Sharjah with Africa, with Her Highness, the ruler's daughter. Recently, it's on my LinkedIn. It's a project about social cohesion and social and love and partnership. So we have an aspiration to work with African organization and to develop relationship with them.
Good, good. And in terms of the research park, Sharjah Research Park, I know that you mentioned that you work with universities and research institutes in the Netherlands and in the UK. Are there any other research institutes where you have partnerships within the region, within the Gulf region, within the Middle East?
We have a relationship with King Abdullah Research Science Park in Saudi. Who else do we have with? So I think King Abdullah is one. We are about actually to sign an agreement with the American University of Cairo. Who else? I think those are the two we have now, but again, for us, it's very important to build partnership, but we tend to sign things and make things happen and stay away from just signing for the sake of signing. But we believe in partnership. So we have relationship with universities around the world, from Europe, from other places.
Okay, this has been great. Well, I know that it's almost 1 a.m. in UAE time, so it's another day, and so we really appreciate. But I want to give you some time, some closing words, just to share, and I just want to thank you for taking time to share with us. And ICSB is really looking forward to visiting you in Sharjah and working together and raising the profile of what you do throughout the world. I think that it's a synergy that we can work with, and we're really looking forward to it.
No, I would like to first thank you again for your time and effort in putting this together. And I would like also to thank Dr. Ayman and my dear friend Ahmed. And I also wish him every best with whatever he's going to do in the future. My message is we need more than ever to work together. We need more than ever as countries, as people, as different societies to come together and try to develop meaningful projects that helps humanity and ensure we are sustainability and social impact. The small and medium enterprises is a backbone of any economy. Hence, the role of ICSB is critical, especially I think in this time, because wherever you go, there is a big debate now on the future of small and medium enterprises. And I'm glad to have this call with you, and hopefully this is a start of a much more fruitful collaboration. I would like to thank your audience for being with us tonight, and I hope it was a useful session. Someone asked, he said, what time it's in the UAE? It's 1 a.m. It's Ramadan time, so we stay a bit late. But thank you very much for your time.
Well, thank you very much. I want to, and I'm going to put our president, Ahmed Osman, on the spot just to say a few closing words, and then I'll hand it over to Dr. Ayman El Tarabishi.
Well, you put me on the spot again, Winslow. I thank you very much for this session, and I thank Mr. Hussain very much for a very informative session. And I'm in my car driving, so I don't want to take long. So I wish you all a pleasant evening, and everyone stay safe. Thank you very much, Winslow.
Okay. Well, thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Mr. Hussain. This has been a great webinar here. And 5 years ago, we had a World Congress in UAE. So we were just delighted. It was history making. So we're delighted to have you here as well. And we're looking forward to more collaboration with this. So this is just the start here after COVID-19. So AC, as we say. For tomorrow, for all attendees here, tomorrow I'm delighted that we will have our next webinar with Google. Google is joining ICSB on a webinar to discuss how to grow and build and manage your business online. So Google has joined us for this 1-hour webinar in which we can ask them on all the initiatives and activities that they are doing. And with that, also tomorrow is a special day for me. Tomorrow, while I'm working, is my birthday.
It's a birthday.
So I look forward to seeing all attendees here, everyone on this webinar, to join me for my birthday tomorrow with Google. So,
yes. Okay.
With that, I want to wish you all stay safe. Thank you very much, and have a wonderful rest of the day. And thank you again. Bye-bye, everybody.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Goodbye, everyone. Goodbye.